Good morning. It's John Gilkison here. I thought I'd do something a little different for a video today, and I'm out in the garage with a holder here and I'm hand holding this selfie stick to shoot this video. I'm out here basically because it's a lot more quiet, at least I hope. I'm writing a blog right now entitled PhD Hubris, which I can't publish yet, but I need a video to link to it, and I may be able to publish it in a few weeks, and more immediately I may be able to put it up on my Facebook page. So I'm going ahead and doing it right now because it's on my mind. What happened was I got into an argument with some Guy McPherson fanboys on the Arctic News Facebook page. And basically the discussion centered around aerosols in the atmosphere, which cause something called global dimming. And there was a study done on this because of the 9/11 terrorist attacks back in 2001 that showed that the planet warmed up when we stopped air traffic in the United States for 2 or 3 days. I forget exactly how long we stopped air traffic, but I do remember it. I remember not seeing contrails in the sky afterwards and how much more quiet it was. Anyway, the point of view is that if we stop using fossil fuels, and especially dirty air polluting combustion sources, we would stop putting these aerosols up in the atmosphere, and they wouldn't be cooling the planet. So the very act of trying to go to clean energy sources and like renewables that also don't happen to be emitting carbon will cause the planet to warm up 1.5 degrees more than it already is. In a short amount of time, apparently these aerosols will fall out of the atmosphere in a week or two, a couple weeks, if you're no longer emitting them. We have to constantly emit them to keep them up in the atmosphere. That's one of the problems with the global cooling scheme of doing just that, taking airplanes around and spraying stuff into the air to create this aerosol masking, is you have to constantly do it. You can never stop. And that's exactly what we're doing with our civilization. So the near-term human extinction crowd and the doomers are basically, they're always saying we're fucked. And if we don't continue what we're doing, driving our petrol cars and trucks and coal-fired power plants and dirty ships and you name it, we basically will cause the planet to even warm up more by getting rid of this aerosol masking. And I just have a fundamental disagreement with all this. Number one, what you're basically saying is if you try to address climate change, that you're going to cause more of it, and the only way to stop that from happening is to keep pumping carbon into the atmosphere, which is causing more and more climate change. So it's kind of a catch-22. You're chasing your own tail. And yes, it is a problem. I'm not denying the problem don't exist, but I just disagree with the outcomes that the advice that people are giving. In the first place, this is only one instance that they studied this, and it's a rather limited data set, and so we don't know precisely how it would play out just on the basis of that one 9/11 incident. And secondly, the climate system is very complex, and we're still learning a lot more about it. So anyone who claims that they understand every last nuance of the climate system is totally misleading you and lying. And But the most important reason to me is you're basically advising people to not act in their own best interest. If people were enlightened, they would want to use renewables and electric drive technology for cars and so forth because it's basically cheaper. And that's what the marketplace is deciding right now. We're switching to renewables and electric drive and so forth because it's going to save people money. And so you're giving advice that goes counter to that. And if we only have a limited amount of time left on the planet, wouldn't you rather enjoy it with having more money in your pocket than less? And so it's not just Guy McPherson. I ran across the same advice being given by James Lovelock. And I posted a link to a video of his where he's talking about the carrying capacity of the planet's probably not more than 1 billion humans, and the human population should be under 1 billion. And I agree completely with that. But it's how do we get there? And what he's saying is we're going to get there because people are going to start starving and dying off. We're going to have a food system collapse. And that's highly likely. I also agree with that prognosis. But you can't make the conjectural leap that we should keep burning fossil fuels just because it's cooling the planet from that. So what's he saying? He never really articulates it. He never says, well, if there's 1 billion people and they're all using fossil fuels, everything's still going to be okay because of the smaller number of people. He never says. And what I've been getting from all this, and I've met Guy McPherson, for example, and I just don't think that these folks, the conservation biologists or biologists, are in general that knowledgeable about energy matters. But they think they are because they have a PhD in conservation biology or biology. But they don't know what they don't know. And for example, Guy McPherson accused me of, he says, I think that 2 + 2 = 5. Well, 2 + 2 does equal 5 occasionally in the energy realm. For example, I have solar panels. And since I got the solar panels installed, I've been adding more efficiencies to my house. I've insulated refrigerators, switched to LEDs, switched to central air from window units, and so forth. And all of these efficiency steps is like it's the functional equivalent of buying new solar panels at far cheaper than $1 a watt in some cases. Solar panels cost me about $5 a watt. So by improving my energy efficiency, I've really created new solar panels. 2 + 2 = 5. And they don't understand things like this. When Guy was here, I explained to him how an LED light bulb was several thousand times more energy efficient than a kerosene lantern. They not only don't understand things like this, they don't really care about them. They just don't think they're germane or important ideas, but they are. I mean, taking the same amount of energy one person would use for lighting and having that light 7,000 homes or 3,000 homes or whatever the exact figure is a significant fact. And you just can't blow it off and say it's of no value. For example, there's a climate scientist, Kevin Anderson of the Tyndall Center in England, who is very expert on energy issues. If you want to listen to someone who's a climate scientist talk about energy issues, you need to go on YouTube and find Kevin Anderson and listen to some of his talks, because he really knows what he's talking about. He has an in-depth knowledge of energy issues. And don't be listening to conservation biologists who think they know about these things and just with a pod snap flourish wave off solar, wind, electric cars, more energy efficient lighting. Don't bother with any of this. We're all going to die anyway. Don't bother. In other words, go ahead and get ready for your imminent death and be more poor while you're at it. That's damn stupid advice. And And that's even if we know for certain that we only do have 10, 20 years left. We don't. No one actually knows that. As I like to call people who talk like that, is instead of Nostradamus, I call them Nostradamuses, because they're predicting the future, and they have so much hubris that they don't know what they don't know, and they don't even want to acknowledge it. And they should, if they were honest, if they were being honest with us. And that's my definition of hubris. So that's the title of my new blog, PhD Hubris, and I'm going to publish it at EV World in a few weeks. But in the meantime, I'm going to put it on my Facebook page, Electric Vehicle Organization, EVO SNM. The SNM stands for Southern New Mexico. And you're welcome to come there and read it. It'll be in a PDF form. But I'm 69 years old, and realistically, I mean, giving normal human lifespans and everything, I have somewhere around maybe 20 years left, if I maintain good health and I don't have anything happen to me. And I have grandchildren, and I need to be able to look myself in the mirror. And that's why I drive an electric car. That's why I have an energy efficient home. That's why I have solar panels, and I want to do more. I'm going to get home storage someday soon. For example, I'm probably going to get more solar panels when I can afford it. I'm doing what I can. In the meantime, my daughter, for example, is wanting to buy a car here pretty soon, and I'm giving her the best advice I can to help her get into an electric vehicle. And my sister, my brothers, I'm talking to them about it. An electric drive is the way of the future. It solves a lot of problems you don't even know you don't have. And it's kind of tricky right now because they're not widespread. You just can't go down to any car lot and find an electric vehicle. So I'm trying to help people out who are looking to buy a car. I'm going to give them a hand on locating one and buying it, if I can. And if we're all going to die anyway in 10, 20 years, what the hell's the difference is what I said. Why do you care what people do? If people want to save energy, save money, emit less air pollution, emit less carbon to the atmosphere, then that's their damn business. And you ought to butt out. Stop telling people to just keep driving petrol pigs around and just go ahead and burn them incandescent light bulbs. And forget the solar, forget the wind. We're all going to die. Oh, my hair's on fire. Ooh. I tell them, buck up. Be a man. Show that you have some fire in your belly. And if you're gonna kick the bucket soon, stop whining and sniveling about it. Just go ahead and do the best you can while you're still alive. That's all you got to do. I was quoting a quote from John Huston, the famous movie director, when they caught him in an airport just before he's going to die, and they asked him how he felt about dying. And he says, he told them, he says, I feel like one of those steamships of old. He says, I've ran into a reef, and I got a hole in my hull. He says, I'm taking on water. He says, but I still have a fire in my belly. I still got fire, smoke coming out of my stack. He said, but I'm going down. And that's what you need to have. Stop all this whining and sniveling. We're all going to die someday, whether climate change kills us or we just die a natural death. So while you're alive, be alive. And do the best you can with what you know or what you think you know. And stop advising people to do things on the basis of things you don't know. I got to stop this right here. Bye.